Hey everyone, it's Michael GoosebumpsFan. I hope you're doing well today. I have another review tonight for the second part of a three-parter of the original Goosebumps 1990s classic TV series. It's typically based on Goosebumps books adapted to the television screen, sometimes with a nice high budget, sometimes with a middle budget, sometimes with a very low budget. And this trilogy is called the Chillogy. Yes, as in chills. And I have it here. You know, this is a real release. Yes, I know it has Monster Blood 3's cover. I talked about that in my Part 1 review that I just uploaded. And I'm going to be honest with you. I saw some stills when I was saving these IMDb things to my account, to my favorites, so I could have them up to pull up really quick when I go to do these reviews. And I saw baseball stuff. I'm not a fan, as I said in my Part 1 review, of sports. I'm just not. I love hockey. And I like some like UFC type stuff, and that's about it. I don't care about sports. Sports suck. Specifically baseball. Like, who even watches that anymore? Like a 1950s or 60s person, I could get it as being a big thing back then, but now, no. I don't see it. Anyway, if you like baseball, I'm sorry to be offensive. Chillogy Part 2. It is Season 3, Episode 20. And this came out 1 week after Part 1. So that is May 2nd, 1998. The actual title for this is Chillogy Part 2, Strike 3, You're Doomed. That's as bad as you could possibly think. So this trilogy, or Chillogy, whatever, is kind of a trilogy and kind of not. They kind of take some characters from Part 1, and they kind of ended the first episode with an ending that showed our main character here, who was kind of in that first episode a little bit, named Todd. He and his brother pick up the big set that Jessica was using in her attic that she got sucked into by a phone booth in that first episode. They take it home. This episode opens up with him thinking about baseball and seeing how that set that he has living in his room now, or sitting in his room on top of his desk, that little set called Carlsville, actually has a baseball field. I didn't recognize that in the first episode. I guess it was there. I don't remember it not being there. This not being based on an episode shows heavily, because immediately their idea is, well, kids like sports in the 1990s, don't they? So they just do a baseball thing. It sucks. This episode, the Part 1 I wasn't a fan of. I was not a big fan of that. But it was mild. It was decent. It started out okay. And it failed. It fell apart. But in this episode, just from the get-go, the sports ball nonsense, I just don't care about it. I don't. And I like Todd as a character. I actually think the actor in here, what is his name? I closed out IMDb. Neil Dennis, who plays Todd Erickson here. He also played Spike on X-Men Evolution. I loved Spike. I have toys of Spike, the old figures they used to put out for X-Men Evolution. He was really cool. He was good on that show. I liked him. He's solid here. He tries, and I think he does a relatively decent job. I think the people who play the parents, I think they're really good too. I really like them, especially the dad. There's some really touching family stuff with the dad and this guy named Todd, our main character here. Anyway, Todd wants to play baseball, and he's been on a team for a while. He never gets to play. According to the rules of the game, that particular day, his coach gets caught not letting every player play at least one time that season. This is Todd's chance to be on the field, and he fails. He messes up. And when he goes home, he's pretty depressed. He doesn't want to eat, doesn't want to hang out, doesn't want to watch movies or anything with his family. Just kind of wants to go upstairs and just sit in his room, and I get that. It's kind of relatable, and that's where I think this actor really tried his best to bring something nice to the game for this episode. By the way, this is directed by William Fruet, who did things like Attack of the Mutant Part 1 and Part 2, Welcome to Deadhouse Part 1 and Part 2, Stay Out of the Basement Part 1 and Part 2, Revenge of the Lawn Gnome. So many big things I've talked about a billion times on this channel that I love. William Fruet is a talent, as always. Even though it's a lower budget here than it seems like Part 1 had, to me, a lot of CGI, a lot of crap CGI on top of that for a kid's show. It feels like there's a solid eye for directing in this episode, like there typically is, even in some of his worst episodes, like like Deep Trouble Part 1 and Part 2. He tries his best with the directing here. The cast is really where the heart of this episode is, not so much in the script. Anyway, Todd himself is at home, and he throws his baseball across the room, and it happens to get zapped into the Carlsville set piece, whatever this is, this toy thing. And then he goes over to pick the baseball up that got zapped in there and turned into a small miniature. And then he gets zapped in there too, just like Jessica had in part 1. And that's our episode here. Now, it's not entirely the same thing. There is no lemonade stand. There is no trying to be a business greed factor message. It's mostly a story about having courage and understanding you have your limits, but you can also, with perseverance, really, achieve your goals, And I like that message too, but very much like part 1's message about greed, this one's not executed well. This entire episode, aside from the beginning stuff I talked about with the baseball game and all that, this entire episode pretty much takes place on a baseball field in a very wacky, eccentric way. The guy that played Carl in the first episode... Oh, IMDb closed out on me. Are you serious right now? The one time I need you. Come on. I'm sorry. What's this guy's name? Come on. Daniel Cash, who does his best to try to be good, just as much here as he was in part 1. He doesn't really have much to work with. This is a guy that, by the way, I realize, he reminds me of the guy that was the villain in Lazy Town. Have you ever seen Lazy Town, the old memes? That poor guy passed away, but this guy looks just like him. He really does. Just he has actual eyebrows. They're not shaved off in a line drawn over top of where the eyebrow bump is on the human skull. Anyway, where's that tendon? What is that? What's underneath the eyebrow? Is that a bone thing? I don't think so. Anyway, just trying to make this review for this piece of crap more entertaining. I'm sorry if it's boring. This entire thing is a baseball game, and it's a wacky, weird one with bad CGI. There is one scene in particular, one couple of shots, with a baseball that has teeth, and it's fantastic. It looks like something that'd be straight out of a Stein book from Goosebumps. It's great, I love that. But everything else, the whole baseball field thing, I already don't care about that. It's sports ball. It's all the same. I already don't care about that. But with the acting that's trying to be done here, with a script that's not that great, it's really bad. I don't care about anything about it. I didn't like most things about it. If I'm being honest with you, even the music is worse here because it's bland and bad. The first part had this one song I forgot to mention in my review, and it basically was like a really crappy money, money, money song. Like it was just a bunch of ladies singing it like that, and some parts of that sounded like church music, like modern, like black church music, Like in the South, we have a lot of black churches, and a lot of their music sounds like that. It's really kind of good most of the time. That one in part 1 of Chillogy was garbage, But it kept saying money over and over again. This one here is just bland. It has a little bit of that typical baseball theme. If you've ever been to a baseball game, you probably know the dun, 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 dun. It has a little bit of that in there. But there's a portion, too, involving the Carlsville national anthem. Because Carlsville is a nation. There was a good 3 minutes, or not really 3 minutes, it's an exaggeration, good minute and a half dedicated to a guy doing like a crappy Elvis impression with a plastic hairdo, singing, and it was basically screeching. It was awful. I mean, it was genuinely awful. And then there's like this running gag about the announcer guy that's watching the game and playing on the microphone, saying things, eating. Every time we cut back to him, he's eating something else, like a pickle one scene. Next shot, he's eating pizza. Why? This doesn't sound like William Fruit that was the issue here. This sounds like everybody else. It sounds like Fox Kids that were making this. It sounds like everybody that was outside of William Fruit's control was the problem here. Because even when he has a bad episode, or even a goofier, more lighthearted episode like Revenge of the Lawn Gnomes, he does something really special with it. Again, the directing here is not the issue. It's everything else. From budget restraints to just bad scripting. It's all of that. It has some heart in there, so it's not a complete loss, but it's bad, and I think it's worse than part 1, as bad as part 1 kind of is in a lot of ways. It's not a complete loss, but it's slightly better than this. At least that one's right at kind of being average, but kind of sucking at the same time. This one makes me hate part 1 more. Does that make sense? I kind of regret it. Anyway, I don't entirely hate this. I like the dad actor. I think the kid playing Todd is really solid. The guy on the Carlsville, Carl guy, he's trying. Most of it sucks. Most of it sucks. Let me just be honest and frank with you. Most of it sucks. Just plain out and out. And it's about baseball, which I don't care about, like I said. So anyway, when it comes to Chillogy Part 2, what is the title of this? Strike 3, you're doomed. It sucks. Don't watch it. If you're a big Goosebumps fan, you can watch it. But if you don't care, don't watch it. You're wasting your time. This DVD so far, 2/3 of it have sucked. The third episode's not looking, it's not looking like it's going to be much better. It's probably going to be bad. I have a feeling it's going to be bad because of how rough these two have been so far out of the 3. Of course, you will get a review from me in just a moment for this, so tune in for that. I just realized on the back of this box, they have a picture of a bunch of episodes that have nothing to do with this. One I don't know about an Elvis guy. Another one I can't remember what that episode is, and then there's the shrunken head on the back of the box. This is a real Goosebumps thing, dude. This is no joke. Chillogy sucks. Let me just say that. Anyway, what are your thoughts on Chillogy Part 2? 3 strikes, you're doomed. If I had to rate this episode on a 5-star basis, again, there's a few things that I like. As much as it sucks, there's a couple of things I like, and I can't give it the bottom worst review ever if I do like some things about it that are genuine things that I enjoy. For me, I give this a 2 out of 5 stars. It's bad. It's underneath average. It's probably the worst thing William Fruit's done so far. I have one more of the original series episodes to review, which is Chillogy Part 3. I have that left, and that could be worse than this. I doubt it, because I don't care about sports. This is probably the worst, but from what I've seen of William Fruit's career and how bad Deep Trouble Part 1 and Part 2 are, I think I like those more than I like this. And this is very summertimey, you know, and it's summer right now, so that's kind of a shame that this was so bad. Maybe if you like baseball more, maybe you'll like this. I don't know. Anyway, what are your thoughts? What are your comments? All that about Chillogy Part 2. This is a great, great, great example of something Disney should not do in the future. About trying to make up your own scripts for adaptations or anything like that. Or just trying to do something that's not based on books. It's a bad idea. I think this is a great experiment in Goosebumps history back in the day, and it's a great reason why they never did it again. It's kind of depressing, frankly. The last episode I'm ever going to watch of the original series that I've never seen is Chillogy Part 3. So pray to God that it's better. Anyway, 2 out of 5 stars for me. What do you think about Part 2 of Chillogy? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Is Part 1 better to you? Do you like this one more? Let me know all that down below, too. Do you like sports? Do you like baseball? Let me know all that down below, too. Anyway, thank you for watching, guys. God bless you. Goodbye.